Hello everyone, this is part 11 of What If Naruto was trained by Anko, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto had spent a great day with his Ji-chan and Anko. They had started the day by meeting early in the morning so that Naruto could show him his first 3 kenjutsu techniques. When Sarutobi saw the damage they caused, he hoped that he would never have to face Naruto in a kenjutsu fight. When Anko told him that those techniques had broken Zabuza's sword, he gulped, since most shinobi knew about the legendary swords of the mist. Being able to break such a sword would take devastating power, and not many shinobi had such strength. Once again Naruto had succeeded in surprising him. When he saw Naruto's final kenjutsu technique, he actually felt pity for the bastard who pissed Naruto off enough so he would use this technique. Though Naruto showed Sandaime his kenjutsu techniques, he didn't tell about his mastery of the Rasengan. He would show it to him during the Chunin exams. He knew that would really surprise him. After talking and laughing about several small things, Anko and Naruto told Sandaime about their relationship. "Jichan, there's something that Anko and I want you to know. But you have to keep it a secret, okay?" Naruto said. "No problem Naruto, as long it isn't something that could hurt the both of you or the village, your secret is safe with me." Sandaime said, wondering what 2 of his favorite people had to say. "The fact is that Anko and I are more than just student and teacher or just friends." Naruto tried to explain. "Naruto, are you trying to tell me that you and Anko are together as a couple?" Sandaime said while a small smile formed on his old and wrinkled face. "That's what he's trying to say, Hokage-sama," Anko said, helping out her boyfriend a little. Naruto nodded, slightly blushing. "Really? When did this happen?" Sandaime said before he hugged and congratulated both of them. Anko and Naruto then told him how they got together after the match with Zabuza and how they decided to keep their relationship a secret until Naruto made Chunin. Sandaime nodded, understanding their need for the secret, and told them that their secret was safe with him, and then he asked if he was invited for the wedding. Anko asked him if he would give her the honor of giving her away when the time came. Sandaime accepted with tears in his eyes, saying that the honor would be all his. After this wonderful news, they made their way to Hideki-san, Naruto wanting some new stuff, and he also wanted to show the sword he made. He had promised to show it to him and hadn't done so yet, so now was the perfect moment. Hideki greeted them good morning, saying how glad he was to receive such good company. He was glad to see Naruto and Anko again. The 2 of them had grown on him and he considered both of them good friends. Naruto started by showing him his sword and explaining how his sheath worked without giving the details of the seal. Hideki was truly amazed at the beauty of the sword. It was perfect in every way. He told Naruto and the rest to watch the store for a few minutes and ran off. A few minutes later he came back accompanied by an older man. He introduced the man as Miyamoto Musashi, and he was a very famous sword maker known throughout the world. He also told that this was the man who had sold his high-quality metal to him, which he gave to Naruto. Naruto introduced himself and Anko and thanked him for the fantastic metal. Musashi said that it was quite all right and that he was happy that a youngster as himself was interested in weapon forging. Hideki then showed him the sword and Musashi inspected it with the eye of a master. When he gave back the sword, he told Naruto that he had made a truly amazing sword and that he could tell it would never disappoint its maker. Naruto thanked him for his kind words and sheathed his sword. When Musashi saw how the blade disappeared, he was astonished at how Naruto had done that. After leaving Hideki and Musashi, the trio went to see Iruka at the academy, since the new school year had already started some months ago. They arrived just a little for lunch and Iruka dismissed the students early, telling them to be back tomorrow for target practice. They raced outside, not even hearing Iruka or paying attention to him. He sighed. Being an academy teacher did have his downsides. But he cheered up, happy that he could spend some time with Naruto. He had changed so much since graduating he hardly recognized him anymore. They spent the afternoon talking, and when they told him about the mission in Wave, he almost fainted when Anko told him he had defeated Momoki Zabuza. Though Naruto said he couldn't have won without her. She had to restrain herself or she would have kissed him there and then. But they had agreed to only tell Sandime. They went back home in the early evening tired but having spent a wonderful day they didn't care. Arriving at Anko apartment, they greeted one of her neighbors who wished them a nice evening. Since the people who lived here were all shinobi, none of them had a problem with Naruto and already knew that he stayed with Anko because of the problems with some villages. When Naruto shut the door behind him, he was grabbed by his collar and pulled into Anko's lips. He happily kissed her back. She told him that she had been wanting to do that for hours. Since they had team training the next day, they went to bed early. After a good night kiss, both of them went to their bedroom. They didn't want to rush into things neither of them was ready for, so they decided to sleep separately for the time being. This was fine for both of them. The next morning they met with the rest of Team 8 to discuss their training for the next few months leading up to the Chunin exams. They would only take 2 missions a week and concentrate on their training. They had several areas they had to cover, so they would be busy enough without missions. Kurenai had asked them to write down what they wanted to learn for the next months. They each had to write down a goal they wanted to achieve. They would review it together and make up a training schedule. Alright Hinata, why don't you start? What have you written down as your goals for the next few months? Kurenai asked. Yes sensei, I have decided that I would like to learn at least 5 basic level medical ninjutsu so that in case of emergency I would be able to help my teammates. Next to those 5 jutsu I would request Naruto-kun's help in developing my new taijutsu style. Hinata said. Very good Hinata, that's a good goal. I'm sure we'll help where we can. Alright Kiba, what about you? Kurenai asked. I would like to learn several new jutsu outside my family jutsus. I thought it over and I definitely see the advantage in knowing some other jutsu. Also Akamaru, and I will learn a new family jutsu from my sister. Kiba said. Good, there's definitely a plus side to knowing jutsu. Alright Shino, what have you decided? Kurenai said, addressing Shino. With the help of my father I will start a new colony that will allow me to improve my current techniques, but since starting a colony requires a constant supervision, so I regret to inform you that I will not be able to join for the first 2 months of training. I will join after the new colony has civilized enough. Shino said calmly. Very well Shino, you will be missed these months, but we know that you'll be much stronger when you return. We wish you all the good luck you need. Finally Naruto, what are your goals? Kurenai said. Well sensei, I selected to start creating some new ninjutsu and improve my kenjutsu. Naruto announced. Good job everyone. Anko and I expect that you work hard at achieving this goal. When you need our help, call us and we'll do what we can. Kurenai said, finishing that part of the meeting. Next they talked about the normal team training that will take place every morning from 6 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. During this training they will focus sparring matches, team exercises and the likes. The afternoon would be individual training, though they would meet together so they would be able to help each other if necessary. After each month they would review the goals and see if how far they had succeeded in achieving them. On the other side of town, a certain Hitaki Kakashi was in a very good mood. The newest tome of Ika Ika Paradise was out in stores and he had been able to pre-order a copy. Today was going to be a good day, he could feel it. He made his way over to the adult bookstore, barely able to restrain himself from giggling. When he left the bookstore while reading his new book, he vaguely remembered something about training his team this morning, but he was fairly sure he had given them the day off. So he went home and started reading his book. Team 7, however, consisting out of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and one guy nobody seemed to know, were waiting for their sensei. Today was supposed to be team training, but their sensei was already 3 hours late. Giving up, Sasuke told the pink one that he was going home since Kakashi obviously wasn't coming. Said pink one immediately started asking him out on a date, which was refused before she had finished her question. The nameless one nodded and went home as well. Sasuke was raving mad. This was an outrage in his opinion. He had been the Rookie of the Year, genius of the Uchiha clan. Of course, if you're the only remaining member, it was easy to be called a genius, and all he had been doing was idiotic missions. Sure, he had awakened his Sharingan during one of those missions, but all in all they were boring and useless. That such missions were about learning teamwork and promoting friendship amongst the team escaped the young Uchiha completely. He thought his teammates were only slowing him down and Kakashi was as useless as could be. The man was considered a genius shinobi, but so far Sasuke thought he was a joke. He was always late, lazy as hell, and read those orange books for LS, so he was not exactly a prime example of a competent teacher. He walked through town searching for something to occupy him since he had nothing to do anyway. Suddenly he thought he recognized a familiar blonde-haired idiot from the academy, and a grin appeared on his face. Nothing better to improve your own self-esteem by putting someone else down. He would enjoy this, he thought. Making his way over, he saw that said blonde was accompanied by Kiba, Dogboy, and Hinata, Crybaby, and a girl he didn't know. Well, if it isn't the village idiot, Dogboy and Crybaby, long time no see. How's the academy, loser? Have you passed yet? Sasuke sneered at them. Naruto and the gang turned around and faced Sasuke, who kept on smiling. They heard the name calling but decided to ignore it. They would be the better man, so to speak. If it isn't Uchiha Sasuke. How have you been, Sasuke? I've been doing great, thank you for asking. Naruto said. Kiba, Hinata and Anko smiled at Naruto's way of irritating Sasuke. Whatever, loser, what are you doing here anyway? This is a shinobi-only store. Sasuke said, trying to embarrass Naruto. I know this is a shinobi store, that's why I'm here, since I'm a shinobi. Can't you see my headband? For a so-called genius, you sure ask stupid questions. Naruto answered with a smile on his face. Most of the shinobi present in the store started snickering at Naruto's remark. It was funny because the Uchiha was supposed to have the best eyes. Not noticing Naruto's headband was huge embarrassment for Sasuke. To make matters worse, Sakura appeared out of nowhere and started asking Sasuke out again. Sasuke, who felt bad enough about not having seen the headband around Naruto's forehead, pushed Sakura of him and turned back to Naruto. So, how did you get that headband? I know you didn't graduate with us. Received any special treatment? Sasuke said. No, Sasuke, I didn't get any special treatment of any sort. The truth is that I kicked Mizuki's ass when he tried to betray the village and steal a forbidden scroll. Since I defeated a Chunin-level shinobi, I was allowed to pass and become a genin. Naruto said in an even voice, showing that he wasn't trying to show off. He was just stating the truth. Yeah right, loser, like you could defeat a Chunin. No way I'm believing that. Sasuke called out. Believe what you will, Sasuke. I'm fine with you not believing me, I don't care. Well, got to go. Places to see, people to meet. See you later, Sasuke, Sakura. Naruto said while following Anko and the rest out of the store. Sakura, who had been quiet since Sasuke had thrown her of his back, only now recognized the blonde guy Sasuke had been talking to. Not being positive it was him, she decided to ask Sasuke about it. Was that Naruto? She said to her crush. HNNN. Was the only reply she received before he left the store in search for something else to do. Inside he was fuming. What if what Naruto had said was true? What if he really defeated Mizuki like he said? He was sure that he could defeat a Chunin-level shinobi, he was an Uchiha after all. But the fact that Naruto, the biggest loser in the history of the academy, in his eyes anyway, had been able to defeat a Chunin meant that he had become very strong in a very short period of time. No way would he allow the clown of the class to surpass him, he would have to force Kakashi into training him seriously. 2 weeks later, Naruto had been working on one of his new jutsu when Anko arrived after having to meet Sandaime. She looked a little bit troubled, and when Naruto asked if she was okay, she told him that she was asked to supervise the second part of the Chunin exam. The Hokage had also forbidden her to tell anything more than that to ensure fair play. So she couldn't tell anything about it. Naruto nodded, saying that he understood, and he found it to be logical that she couldn't tell them anything. Besides, he didn't want to cheat anyway. So what are you working on? Anko asked, interested in what her boyfriend was doing. Well, I'm working on a new Kaiten jutsu, but something's been bothering me ever since we met Sasuke 2 weeks ago. The fact that those with the Sharingan could copy the jutsu I make bothers me. Naruto admitted. Yes, I can understand that. It's not really fair for such an ability to exit. But you have the Kage Bunshin you can use to learn. Anko said. No, that's not what I mean. I don't have a problem with people learning the jutsu I made. Well, some of the jutsu I made. There are several of them I want to keep secret. I don't mind people knowing my jutsu because they would have to learn it, they would have to practice and work for it. The Sharingan however just copies it and that's it. No effort whatsoever. That's what bothers me the most. Naruto explained his views. Anko nodded, understanding what Naruto meant. For a lot of shinobi, learning a new jutsu takes effort and training, but for the Uchiha who activated their Sharingan, it becomes child play to learn and remember new jutsu. Unfortunately, there wasn't much that could be done to prevent the Sharingan from copying. It truly was a very useful tool for a shinobi to have. I talked to Ji-chan about it and even he doesn't know a way to counter the copying of jutsu, but he did say something interesting. He said that copying jutsu with hand seals was easy because they have a visual aid then, but jutsu like the Rasengan would be very difficult since they don't use hand seals. I believe this is the way to counter the Sharingan. Naruto explained. Anko thought about it and it seemed a very reasonable theory. Jutsu like Rasengan are chakra manipulation which takes practice no matter what. Chakra control and manipulation can't be copied, it's learned, so that might be a very good way to work around the Sharingan. So when Naruto told her that from this point on his future family jutsu would be jutsu based on chakra control and manipulation, she smiled and said that this was an excellent idea. So, what is the Kaiten jutsu you have been working on? Anko said, trying to get Naruto to show her. He had this incredible stubborn streak that he wouldn't say or show anything until it was ready, not only jutsu but everything. It drove her insane, being the curious person she is. She hated waiting and he knew it. That's why he does it, she thought. He likes to torment me that way. Now Anko-chan, you know that I won't show it until it's ready. Just a little longer and you'll be the first to see, I promise. Naruto said, knowing it would drive her up the wall. 3 weeks into the second month, Hinata had learned 3 of the 5 medical jutsu that she wanted to learn. She would now be able to help her teammates if they were hurt, and it made her really feel good that she had learned such a difficult area of jutsu. For medical jutsus you needed excellent chakra control, and this was something she was good at. All Hyuga were good at chakra control because of their taijutsu style, the Yukin. Speaking of taijutsu, with the help of Naruto and the rest, she had started on her own version of the Yukin. It wasn't even near to anything resembling a new style, but she had made some excellent progress in her eyes. She always found the normal Yukin to be very stiff and boring. She wanted a style both graceful and powerful. That's why for now she focused on making her body as flexible as it possible could be. This would allow her to do movements that normal people wouldn't be able to do, giving her an advantage. She would have to work hard on it, but she was willing to go all the way to achieve her goal. She still had to practice the normal Yukin with her father and little sister, but unlike before, Hinata gave it her all during those sparring matches, and Hanabi had lost several times to her, which made Hanabi really mad, saying that she cheated and that there was no way that Hinata would have won without cheating. Hinata however told her that she didn't cheat, and if Hanabi couldn't take a simple loss from her sister, she still had a lot to learn. Because there were people out there who were many times stronger than her. Her father had been impressed but didn't say anything to his daughter. Kiba and Akamaru had been training with Kiba's sister Hana, learning a new Inuzuka family jutsu, and it proved to be a really hard one to learn. But they were certain that they could master it before the Chunin exams. Kiba had made good progress with his taijutsu and ninjutsu learning as well. Thanks to the everyday spars he had with Hinata and Naruto, he had learned a lot. The ninjutsu part had been going good as well thanks to Anko. She had taught him another Kaiten jutsu and he was now learning a new Suten jutsu. Today Naruto would show Anko his new jutsus he had made this month. She could hardly wait to see them, because judging on Naruto's face they would be fairly impressive. She could read him well by now. Their relationship was still a secret, but everything was going very well between them. They still hadn't done more than kissing, but neither of them made any move to go beyond that for the time being. Still, they found it very hard sometimes not to get carried away and made a promise to not cross that line for at least another month. Arriving at the training ground, Kurenai saw that everyone was already there and ready to get started. She couldn't help but be very proud of her team. They had taken training very seriously after the wave incident, and the result showed. They were getting stronger by the day and stopped herself from boasting to the other Junin sensei about her team. She refrained from it because her team would face the other teams in the Chunin exam and she didn't want to give away any surprises. But when her team would beat the snot out of them, she and Anko wouldn't refrain from shoving it into their faces. Oh, she could hardly wait. She could already see the faces of Kakashi and Guy when their teams would get their ass handed to them. Priceless. Good morning everyone. Now today we will focus on teamwork and communication. A good team has their own way of communication with gestures or sign language. This is very useful during fights or infiltration where giving out commands by voice aren't possible. So I want you three to start on that. In a week or two Shino will be back and then the four of you can create your own language. Anko said, informing the three what they would be doing today. And I believe that Naruto here will show us two of the three jutsus he created. Anko continued showing impatience at the jutsu showing part. Naruto chuckled at his girlfriend's impatience and told them that he would show at the end of the day. Anko, not wanting to wait that long, ordered him to do it now so that part would be over, trying to cover up her impatience. All of them laughed at her excuse. Fine. The first jutsu I made is a Kaiten jutsu. It's called Kaiten Ryusei Haratsu no Jutsu. The second one is a Suten jutsu called Suten Dekishi Dama no Jutsu. Let me show them to you. Naruto said, explaining a little about his jutsus. He backed up a little and started doing hand seals and said, Kaiten Ryusei Haratsu no Jutsu. He brought his hand to his mouth and exhaled dozens of small balls of fire. It seemed like the Kaiten Hausenka no Jutsu, but there were a lot more fireballs and they were much smaller. But the real difference was when the tiny balls hit the ground, they exploded with a loud bang. When the dust cleared, you could literally follow the path of destruction the jutsu had made. For such tiny balls, they sure packed a lot of punch. This was the first one. As you saw, it makes a lot of fireballs and they explode on impact. Naruto said. His Orzens looked at the destroyed plane now filled with holes. Once again Naruto had made a very impressive technique. Before they could comment on it, Naruto asked for a volunteer for the Suten jutsu. When nobody stepped up, he made a cage bunshin and said he would demonstrate with the clone. Suten Dekishi Dama no Jutsu, he yelled and performed the jutsu on the clone. Anko and the rest saw how a round sphere made of water materialized around the bunshin's head. Naruto explained that the jutsu would place the opponent's head into a small reservoir of water and drown him. He told him that he could hold the sphere for up to 10 minutes without even trying. 10 minutes was largely enough for someone to drown. He said that it could be used for assassination, but its main purpose was to distract the opponent. Having to hold your breath and the natural panic that came with drowning was more than enough to successfully occupy the opponent long enough to terminate him. The downside of the jutsu was that to execute it you needed a source of water at your disposal. Anko liked the Suten jutsu immediately. It was a very well thought out piece of work. Like Naruto said, it put a huge stress on the victim's psychological well-being, and she could see the use of the jutsu during interrogations. Panic and stress broke just as much people as psychical pain. She would ask Naruto to teach it to her later. Kurenai, Hinata and Kiba were impressed by the jutsu Naruto had come up with, but they weren't really surprised anymore. They had seen how he defeated Zabuza with his kenjutsu techniques he had created, so they knew Naruto had a certain talent to create awesome jutsus. So after congratulating him, they started on their sign language. It was now a week before the start of the Chunin exams and people were getting stressed, especially Anko. Since she was ordered to design the second part of the exam, she knew what Naruto and the rest would have to go through, and it worried her. Chunin exams weren't exactly safe. People always got killed during these kind of events. She knew that Team 8 would have to face a lot of strong opponents if they wanted to pass the exams. It wasn't that she didn't have faith in the team's capabilities, far from it. She knew how strong they were. They had trained for the exams for almost 4 months and they had made a lot of progress. She looked over to where the three were discussing something about preparations for the exam. Especially Hinata had made excellent progress not only in her taijutsu, but she had changed her attitude and personality completely. She still was the gentle and caring girl as she always was, but if you hurt her or one of her friends, she would transform into a determined and strong kunoichi who didn't take crap from anyone. Sakura had experienced this in person after she insulted Naruto when they had met during a festival last month. Sakura started calling Naruto names after he had said something about Sasuke being an ass, which was completely true by the way, and while Naruto ignored the pink-haired kunoichi, Hinata had retaliated by saying that Sakura was nothing more than a deluded fangirl who would get herself killed the minute she entered the battlefield. When Sakura answered that her Sasuke-kun would save her if that happened, Hinata had said that she pitied Sakura for not seeing the truth about Sasuke and walked away. Hinata had started on her own version of the yukan and had already created several katas with the help of her team. Her style was a very graceful style, it looked like she was dancing but it proved to be just perfect for her. She was getting very good at it but it still needed lot of practice and modification before she could call it finished. Her style focused on sealing tenketsu and hitting pressure points on the body. Sealing tenketsu would stop them from using chakra and hitting the pressure points would prevent them from using the limb. One of those attacks alone is enough to immobilize someone but both of them at the same time was devastatingly painful and useful. Naruto and the rest thought that Hinata's taijutsu looked like a beautiful but sly dance. Her clothing style had changed after Anko and Kurenai had told her that she shouldn't hide her attractive body behind that thick vest. Hinata at first refused to go shopping but changed her mind after hearing that Kiba might show a little more interest in her if she would wear something stylish but see. Hinata blushed at the thought what kind of clothes Anko and Kurenai would give her but she had to admit that she liked feeling beautiful and see. She now wore a long black pants that fitted very nicely and showed how long her legs were and had take boots, that like Naruto had a steel tip protecting her toes. She got rid of her vest and bought a long-sleeved fishnet undershirt and a dark sleeveless shirt to wear on top of that. She also started wearing her headband on her forehead instead of around her ends showing that she was a true kunoichi. Kiba had certainly been showing more interest in Hinata after that. Kiba had learned a lot during the past few months and he had gotten a little more mature as well. He was still loud and impulsive once in a while but when it mattered he was calm and collective. He had learned several new jutsu and had even learned to do a very special combination jutsu with Akamaru. Although he hadn't spent much time on his normal taijutsu he worked very hard on his family jutsu with Akamaru. Together they were a force to be reckoned with. He too had changed his clothing style. Instead of a blue vest he now wore a dark blue sleeveless hoodie which allowed him to carry Akamaru on his back. He wore gloves just like Naruto but his were fingerless because he grew claws when using his family jutsus. Shino had changed the least. That was only on the exterior though, on the inside Shino had changed a lot. First there was the fact that he now had a new colony of bugs that he could use, then there was the fact that he become a lot more open to his teammates than ever before. Spending time with them had opened him up so now and then he would tell a small joke or something that he saw or heard. His training with the team did suffer a little because he had lot of training with his clan but they had managed to make a perfect sign language for them to use during battle. He had also learned some jutsu from Anko in order to become a well-rounded shinobi. Naruto had grown a little taller and had lost a lot of baby fat in his face and body. He looked just like his father. Frankly it surprised him that nobody in the village had noticed the resemblance between them. Then again, maybe they didn't want to see it he thought. His training had been a great success in his own opinion. 3 weeks ago he had succeeded in making a variation on the Rasengan which make it a lot more powerful and he also made excellent progress in the Hiraishin as well. He was close to finishing the seals for the Hiraishin, all he had to do now is find out the correct pattern to put them in. This would have to wait until after the exams he thought. He had invented several new jutsu as well and he was really proud of them. His kenjutsu had improved very much and he even mastered his kenjutsu techniques enough to do them with one of his throwing knives. That proved to be very useful and he now was very proficient at fighting with knives. He had also made a special holster like his own for his teammates and a special belt that held several storage seals ready to be used. Since there were only a week left before the exam the team had been told to rest up for the rest of the time and only do the team training and a light training schedule for the rest of the time. They wanted to be in the best condition they could possibly be so rest was required. During the time they were free they would discuss tactics, strategy and make preparations for the exam. Anko looked at Naruto and a small smile appeared on her face. They had been a couple for several months now and she couldn't be more happier about it. Naruto was everything she wanted in a friend, lover and future husband she realized. He was sweet, caring and he respected her above everything else. Sure they had some disagreements every once in a while but that was normal in every relationship she had been told. In a way she was glad that Naruto would stand up for himself once in a while. Generally he agreed with everything but sometimes he would be stubborn and not willing to give in and she liked it. It proved that he was comfortable enough around her to be himself. She blushed as she remembered the first time they had made love a few weeks ago. While they were both virgins, it was a fantastic experience and they enjoyed it very much. She was really nervous and had asked Kurenai about some tips, but she told her that discovering those things with Naruto would be much more fun and enjoyable. They were both very nervous, but once they started kissing, it was like their bodies took control and everything went perfect. Naruto had been shocked into silence when he saw her end for the first time, and she was just as pleasantly surprised with Naruto. She thought he was gorgeous and she couldn't believe that she was the one he loved. They had made love several times since then and they enjoyed it every time. Every time they would learn how to please the person they loved, and it drove them wild to see the other enjoying everything they did. Alright guys, that's enough for today. Good job. Tomorrow is your day off, so I want you guys to rest well. No training, am I clear? Tomorrow night we'll all have dinner together, so I want us to meet at 8. You will have to wear appropriate clothes, so please remember that. See you guys tomorrow night. Kurenai said, dismissing everyone. A dress. Kurenai, you want me to wear a dress? You know how much I hate wearing those things. Anko said, complaining to Kurenai. Yes Anko, a dress. You will wear one or else. I'm sure Naruto would enjoy seeing you in a beautiful dress. Besides, it will be fun. Kurenai said, ignoring the glare Anko gave her. Fine. I'll wear the stupid dress, but I won't like it. Anko said while leaving with a pout on her face. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.